Alright, so we are still here in Scottsdale. Oh wow, that was a hot rod. That was a really nice one. It actually was like ASU themed. Anyways, we were here in Scottsdale, and we were going to go be in this way to the Lloyd Wright Spire. Now this location particularly was going to be the Capitol Museum. It was based around the Capitol Museum. Whenever we go back to the table, the Revisiting History table will show what that was supposed to actually look like. Now, this is going to be just a miniature idea of what that was supposed to look like. But the entire Capitol was supposed to be based off this idea that Lloyd Wright had conspired to make. Not in a bad way, in a great way. It was very, very beautiful, very, very modern, even postmodern to a degree. So now we're going to go ahead and take a look at the spire. We'll shift back to the Revisiting History table, and I'll show you guys what I mean by the Capitol was supposed to be made to mimic this spire. So as you can see, got some other plaques around here. This is Anima. So it's all pretty contemporary art. So 2007 it says. Got some other art over here. What this one is, trying to figure out. Alchemy. Okay, 2007. This was an alchemy one. This one says Guardian. She's gonna be there's one back there. It's gonna be the Majon. I'm not even sure what that says actually. This one says, let's try to see if I can find it. It's on the side. Night and Day. So it's supposed to represent night and day contemporary art. Over here you got this beautiful, it's like an archer with the world in it. I'm trying to figure out what to see. It's got a kind of nice postmodern feel to it, like Lloyd Wright would have wanted. And then of course the prime, the meat of this whole thing is right here. Spire. This goes up very, very high. I'll flip the camera around a minute to show the significance, but like I said, it's very, very giant tower. It was supposed to be the capital area of Arizona, of Phoenix, and then they decided not to go with it, I guess. I think it probably would have been too expensive, but the actual functionality and the beautification system of towns was beginning to occur, and people were starting to think, how can we make these cities more livable? Of course, I don't know how this makes it more livable, but definitely a beautiful monument to mark Lloyd Wright and the life that he lived. Alright, so as you can see, the spire, I mean, I have to bend over to even see the whole thing, but it's way up there. It's a giant thing. If I get a little bit closer to it, maybe you can see a little bit better what I'm talking about how big it is, but I'm standing right up here next to it, and it's much bigger than me. It's a giant obelisk type shaped object, but I definitely recommend getting out here in Scottsdale and checking it out. It's a beautiful not artifact, but it's a beautiful monument, and made by somebody who contributed greatly to not just Arizona, but the world over. Right, now I'm backed up all the way to the street so you can see how tall this thing is. There's a little wall here, a little barrier, and then the base, and then you can see how it extends all the way up there. This was actually meant for, like I said, downtown Phoenix, but I am all the way out here by the road trying to get some good footage of this thing, so to actually see it, you have to be pretty far back to actually see the whole thing on film. So one of the stranger things about this place particularly is I didn't see a plaque dedicated to Lloyd Wright. Alright, that is the Lloyd Wright Spire. I hope you get out here and revisit history. Alright, so welcome to Revisiting History. One of the things I want to talk about the Lloyd Wright Spire to begin with is going to be the height, and I'm going to dub in some photos when I'm working through this, because the structures they start to get massive pretty quickly, right? So we're starting to talk about the Cleopatra Needle first of all, which is going to be about 69 feet. That's not particularly large, but as far as structures we're talking, it's pretty big. 70 feet. It's pretty large. Now the spire that we saw is going to be the Scottsdale Spire, 125 feet, so that's much larger than the Cleopatra Spire, or the Cleopatra Spire that is located in New York City. It's been transplanted. It was before the Ptolemy era of Egypt. So now we go from the Scottsdale, 125 feet, and then I have dubbed in the unfinished Hatshepsut spire at 137 feet or around there, and that's to say that is the largest spire in Egypt that is known of, but it's not been erected. It's laying down. It's not erect. But it's the largest spire. And then I jump up a bit and I go to the Pyramid of Giza to show how big of a difference there is between just the unfinished obelisk and then the Pyramids of Giza, again, which is 2 to 3 times the size at what is the number, 455 feet, almost 500 feet tall. And then we have the Washington Monument, 555 feet. Again, that's the most contemporary one I have on the smaller scale one. But then again, you see the one that we saw, the Franklin Wright Spire in Scottsdale, 125 feet, is nothing compared to even the Washington Monument at about 555, right? So then I start out on the major structure scale. It gives you a bigger idea of the world we live in currently. So now looking at the Washington Monument, you see 555, but then you see within Paris, you see the Eiffel Tower at 1060, right? It's about twice the size of the Washington Monument. Washington Monument's a very, very large obelisk or spire, what have you. And then, of course, the Burj Khalifa at 2,700 feet. That is a very large built structure. If you look at it, and again, very spire-like, being the largest current structure in the world, and I believe Abu Dhabi or Dubai. But I mean, it shows how fast the structures go up and how large the Scottsdale one was. Just up close, 125 feet, looks extremely massive. Whereas the largest structure is 2,720 feet, or around about in heights. So you can see how that stacks up pretty quickly. Even within the Capitol, 555 feet at the Washington Monument. That's in comparison to just the Franklin Lloyd Wright Spire. That's 4 times the size of the Franklin Lloyd Wright Spire, and a spot we have to get to on Revisiting History. And you know when I say that, we get there on Revisiting History, so stay tuned.